Hi, my dear colleagues. Before I start this asynchronous workshop, I would like to take the chance to introduce myself. My name is Mustafa Nader. I am the head of the English department at Khalid Al Modaf Intermediate School. My workshop today is about how to design a professional multiple choice questions vocabulary test. Points to cover in my workshop. First point, which kind of vocabulary should I test? The second point, building up your vocabulary content analysis. The third point, components of multiple choice questions. Which kind of vocabulary should I test? Of course, you know that our vocabulary test is mainly based on the vocabulary we are teaching in the course book. So the vocabulary test is mainly content-based test. It's a content-based test. The second point, the active vocabulary only. We only use active vocabulary. Passive vocabulary is not included in our test. So we have to make sure of this important point. How to configure your vocabulary test. Here I have a good idea to recommend to all my colleagues to use. Thanks to the course book we are having in our hands, we have a list of the active words by the end of the course, and they are labeled to the right parts of the speech, or at least the parts of the speech that are used in the course book context. So we can mark all the words, all the active words, like this, and we can create an Excel file like this. We paste the active words and their parts of speech in this way, and then we filter the the parts of speech of the words from here, filter, and then we can select only the adjectives like this. We select all the nouns, or all the verbs. So it's a matter of filtering. So now it's very easy for any teacher to start writing his vocabulary test. Now let's go to have a look at the anatomy of multiple choice questions. Look at the first sentence or this sentence. AIDS Day is observed every year. This is a question, and the choices A, B, C, and D. If you look at the question, it is called the stem. The question, the problem, or the stem. The choices A, B, C, or D are called options, alternatives, choices. The word which is right is called the key or the right answers. Other choices, alternatives are called distractors. Components of a multiple choice question, we have the stem, the problem, question is called the stem. It may be in the form of a direct question or an incomplete statement. But in our exam system, we only use statements. We do not use direct questions. Okay, maybe in other educational systems, they use a direct questions. So when you come across other exams, you will find stems in the form of questions. But here, when you are designing your stems, you should rely only on statements and not questions. The second point, or the second component, choices, are called alternatives. Okay, the correct alternative is called the answer. Remaining alternatives are called distractors. Now we come to writing an effective multiple choice question stem. The first thing, the stem should be meaningful by itself. Look at the two examples on the screen. The first one, made of wood. The second one, babies used to sleep in the past. So the first one is wrong. It's not meaningful by itself. The second one is meaning by itself, so it's right. The second point, the stem should be a partial sentence or an incomplete sentence. Look at both examples. By the way, they are both right. The end of the movie was with the result that many people started to cry, formal, touching, elder, close-knit. People need hour and time of disasters, assistance, rafts, roofs, drafts. Both are right, by the way. A stem should be 1 to 2 sentences or a context between 10 to 20 words. The blanks in the stem should be of a uniform length. They should be, we mean that they are of the same length so as not to give a hint to the students about the right answer. Look at the first example. We have different spaces with different lengths. So the first one gives a hint to the student that the longer answer is the right answer, whereas the second one gives a hint to the students the shorter answer is the right answer. Look at the second example. We have the spaces are of a uniform length, which is required, and this is the right or the correct example. Now we come to writing an effective distractors. All distractors are active words included in the course book. All distractors belong to the same part of speech. The multiple choice question format can be used to assess vocabulary knowledge in a variety of ways. So when you base your STEM or you're writing a good multiple choice questions, you have different ways. We do not write them randomly. So examples of these ways, we can use synonym, antonym recognitions. You can use definitions. You can use meaning in context. And meaning in context is commonly and mainly used by all teachers. It's common in our exams. Let's have examples of synonym or antonym recognition. Look at the first one. The teacher wants to examine, to check the understanding of his students of the word angry. So he gives them the synonym furious for the word angry. Look at the second example. Doha is not a noisy city. The teacher wants to check the student's understanding of the word quiet. So he uses the antonym of the word quiet, which is noisy. Definition recognition, word level, minimal sentence, context. And organizations for helping people in need is an hotel, charity, orphanage, supplement. Here the teachers provide the students with the definition of the word, and the students have to identify the right terminology or the right word. The second example, documenting history by listening to people's stories is known as oral history, of course, and here the teacher provides the students with a definition for the word oral history, and they have to identify the right word. Meaning in context. sentence and paragraph level. The townspeople were by the typhoon that hit their coastline, and from the context, so the teacher creates a perfect or a good context from which the students will be able to identify the right words. Now we come to the practical side of our workshop. From any course you teach, please design 5 multiple choice questions, which you will be aware of the following. The stem, is it a question or a statement? And we said that our stem should be a statement and not a question. So we have to avoid writing questions in our statements. We only use, questions in our stem. We only use statements. Alternatives, how you choose them. The way you choose to assess your vocabulary. Do you use synonyms, antonyms, definitions, or meaning in context? The most important thing for our work as teachers here is that we should be aware of everything. Whether we are teaching, we should be aware of everything or every step we are using in our teaching, and also we should be aware of every step we are using when designing a good test. Thank you, my dear colleagues. I really appreciate your listening. Thank you so much.